A big thanks goes out to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
So while Brian and I hike up to Cumberland Falls, or Cumberland Potholes, good opportunity to tell you about my Vancouver Island photographer's guide. Have you downloaded a copy of it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I downloaded it twice.
And what do you think of my photography guide, Brian?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, well worth picking one up, you know.
Yeah? You liar. Cumberland Potholes, I believe, is in the guide. I can't remember. If it isn't, I'll put it in there. It's not a long walk, but it's definitely up a hill, gradual hill.
A lot of mountain bikers.
For a couple of kilometres, and a lot of mountain bikers. Today's Sunday, so
if you like a good ride, you know, you can come here.
Yeah, bring your mountain bike, or if you have one of those electric e-bikes, you can probably bring that here. You might run out of battery by the time you get to the top of the hill, but probably get you up here anyway. So give a nice ride down. Anyway, check out my my guide at rexby.com. Isn't that right, Brian?
That's the one.
Well, I just realised we seem to be photographing a lot of waterfalls lately. Probably because this is the best time of year to photograph waterfalls. Early spring, late spring sometimes, and then of course in the summer everything dries up. Now in this case, Cumberland, it actually looks better when there's slightly less water, and I suspected there would be too much. But having said that, there are some areas that are still worth photographing, like the area behind me here, which I have photographed before with lower water, looks actually really good with higher water levels, so that's what I'm concentrating on right now. Taking a vertical, there's a really great hole that goes through the rock there, and of course because we have so much volume of water going through there, it kind of looks quite cool. I'm experimenting with different shutter speeds because the front section looks okay around a fifth, but the back section there doesn't look so great, so I'm trying some slower shutter speeds as well, like a quarter of a second and a third of a second, maybe even half a second. Now to be able to get the shutter speed down that low, I'm having to use a ND filter. So the ND filter I'm using is actually it's a 6-stop ND filter, but it has a built-in polarizer as well. But what I'm finding is there is some reflections on the rocks, but the polarizer isn't really doing a lot, so it's more just for the ND filter. Yeah, it's kind of a cool shot. I was hoping that down lower there's a really great section of rock there that's well worth photographing, but there's just so much water right now you can't even see it, so I'm going to have to leave that until another time. I finished that one section and now I've come down a little bit lower, so I'm looking kind of where the hole is, except from the side here. And of course you can't really see that there's a hole there, but there are some nice cascades. It looks a little bit off balance to me, to do like a 4x3 or 4x5. So what I've decided to do is do a pano across the bottom section here with just a little bit of a waterfall at the top. The reason being is that this area over on the right seems a bit empty to me. Yeah. So with that coming down from the top of the pano on the left side, it almost flows into the whole pano, if that makes sense. Again, I'm using a 6-stop ND filter with a built-in polarizer. Not at full polarization. I want some of the little reflections in the rocks to still be in there. But yeah, looks pretty good. I'm going to see if I can get down just behind Brian here, because that section down there looks quite good. Maybe I can get that in the foreground with that waterfall in the background. The only problem is there's this large stick here, so that might get in the way. So I might have to clone that out if there is an image there. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Are you ready to take your online presence to the next level? Meet Design Intelligence by Squarespace, a fusion of world-class design and AI technology that unlocks your creative potential like never before. Build a stunning, personalized website that's as unique as you are and stands out from the crowd. With Squarespace Payments, managing transactions is easier than ever. Get started in just a few clicks and let your customers pay their way, whether it's Apple Pay, Afterpay, or more. Need to invoice clients? Squarespace has you covered. Simplify your workflow and focus on growing your business. If you're interested in building an awesome website, why not head on over to squarespace.com and give it a try. And if you like what you find, use the code AdamGibbs for 10% off your first purchase.
This is a really great view, although it is a little precarious. I'm kind of standing on a little pinnacle here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's a great view. I love this waterfall in the foreground here with the background waterfalls that I was photographing earlier. Just see Brian in the background there. The only problem is it's a little bit off balance. You'll notice that there's more waterfall over to my right than the left, and the upper falls are kind of over to the left a bit. I can't get any further over to my right, otherwise I'd be in the water, so this is going to have to do. I try to get my tripod as high as possible because I want to include the little top cascada. I want to include the base of it as much as possible. So yeah, I'm a bit precarious. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful scene, and I think, you know, when I first got here, I was kind of a little bit disappointed because I thought I had too much water. But with this amount of water, it looks really good at this angle. So there's some things that I can't photograph right now, obviously because there's too much water, but it's opened up some other possibilities. So that's a really great thing. Last thing, polarizer is an absolute must here. So there's a lot of glare. With the polarizer, it really saturates those rocky colours. There's some nice yellows in there. So I'm using a case polarizer with the ND filter in there as well. Works really well. Well, this is a lovely scene. I'm just waiting for Brian to finish up, and came across all these trilliums just starting to pop up. There's quite a few of them, but there's a group here of 4, which is just absolutely lovely. So I don't really have much in the way of close-up stuff. I do have an extension tube though, so I put it on the 1:200 with the 1.4 teleconverter, and I've got down as low as I can with my tripod. So I'm shooting straight across at these lovely trillium. I've got all 4 in a row using a pano, and I'm focus stacking. So I've just focus stacked on each individual flower, and then I'll stack those together. So they should all be nice and sharp. The background is a little bit busy, but maybe we can do something in post-processing with that. Yeah, it's a lovely little scene. I love the wildflowers this time of year. It's just gorgeous. So I think I'm going to leave this video here. It's been a really great morning, better than I thought it was going to be. I was a little disappointed with the water levels, but as I said before, I think they worked out great. So it's been an awesome morning. A little bit of a hike, a few photographs, some fresh air. What could be better? So, as I said before, if you are interested in checking out my guide for Vancouver Island, if you're planning a trip over to Vancouver Island and you want to take some photographs, then check out my guide on rexby.com, or check out my website where I have my book, Land and Light. Alright guys, thank you ever so much for the continued support. I really appreciate it. And until the next video, bye-bye.